A lot of people forget that being a prepper is not just about stocking up on rice and beans and ammo, but it's also about financial preparedness. In today's video, we're going to discuss what I've seen recently in the prepping world and why you should focus on your financial preparedness more than what the preppers tell you. Hey guys, Titan Preparedness, welcome back to the channel. Recently, I was going through my finances and I've been promoted recently. I've gotten a pay increase recently, so I'm doing a little bit better than I was a year or two ago. And I'm not gloating by any means. I'm not saying, hey, look at me, congrats to me, right? It's just something that I noticed. And I decided, hey, that extra money that I'm making every month, I'm going to add it to my house payment. So I decided to do that, and I get on one of the prepping groups online, and I'm talking with these guys and girls, and I'm like, hey, you know, this is what I'm doing, because in my mind, paying my bills off is part of prepping. But you would think that I did something illegal. You would think that I did something against the rules. You would think that just from the sheer amount of comments that I did something bad. Because I got some comments that were, hey, congratulations, way to pay your house off quicker, way to save thousands on interest, good on you. And then some comments were, well, why don't you take that $200 and put it on your preps? Why don't you take that $200, that's $2,400 a month, and put it onto your preparedness? You know what you could buy for $2,400 a year? Do you know what you could stock up on and have? Let me see your collection. Let me see your rice and beans. Let me see your ammo. Let me see your gun storage. Why are you paying payments when you could prep? And it got me thinking, like, there's some people who mentally are in that boat. There's some people who are stuck that preparedness is the only goal every day of every month. That you need to think every minute about prepping. I know people right now that will not take vacations because there could be something coming on. I know people right now that aren't putting money towards retirement because, the world's going to end, so what's it matter? I was recently watching YouTube and a clip came up that this family, and this is back 2009, 2010, whenever it was, they were putting hundreds of thousands of dollars on credit cards worth of prepping supplies, four-wheelers, food, ammo, you name it. They were swiping a credit card because it was interest-free in 2012, until 2012. So they were buying all this stuff, putting it on a credit card, and they said, don't worry, the world's going to end in 2012. So we have all of this stuff to get us ready, and they were hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And I understand if you're thousands of dollars in debt because of a house or because of a car, but not because of rice and beans. But that is some people's mentality when it comes to preparing. Drop everything and focus on preps. Drop everything you have. Don't worry about your bills. Pay the bare minimum on your credit card. Pay the bare minimum on your loans. Focus on the preps because the world's going to end, because the channels that these people watch promote the world ending every single day. I just don't understand it, right? My goal as a husband and a father is to set my family up for success in case something happens to me. Whether that's with life insurance, whether that's with paying bills off, it's to set them up. My goal as a prepper is to set them up for success in case something happens to the world. And you're right, that extra $200 a month could buy a lot of ammo. It could buy a lot of guns over the course of time. It could buy a lot of Spam. My God, I could stack this table slap full of Spam every single month and be ready for the end of the world. But what happens if it doesn't come? What happens if the worst thing that you get is a hurricane? The worst thing you get is a power outage. You are ready for the apocalypse to strike on your doorstep, but the worst thing you get in 75 years is a 3-day power outage. You have 2,000 pounds of rice and beans stacked up. You have 2,000 rounds of ammunition per 2,000 guns that you have. You have $15,000 worth of gold and silver. You have backups on top of backups on top of backups on top of backups, but your bills are still due and you're working until you're 85. Financial preparedness is part of prepping, and a lot of people skip over it because it's not that important. A lot of people skip over it because it's not that cool, it's not that grand, it's not that sexy when it comes to prepping. We can talk about the end of the world, and we can talk about how Obama and Hillary Clinton are coming for your guns every single day, and how martial law is getting declared, and murder hornets, and World War III is knocking on your doorstep every single day for the past 25 years. But it's not sexy to say, hey, pay your damn bills. We saw during COVID, lots of people got sent home from their jobs. Luckily, my state was not as affected, but the waitresses, the waiters, the hair salon people, they were sent home for a few weeks. Can you afford a few weeks of missing a house payment, of missing a car payment, of missing your bills? Sure, you have solar generators and you have a generator and with gas that you're going to need if you don't pay those bills. You have rice and beans that you have just prepped up and stocked up in case you lose your job. Fantastic. But what happens when that extends to 2 or 3 months? You still got the rice and beans, but you're getting kicked out of the house. Where are you going to put that stuff? I remember a few years back, I was watching one old boy, and his basement was slap full of stuff. I don't remember his name. I don't remember the channel. But it went from prep to I'm being kicked out. But what happened, man? Dude, you were a decently sized channel. You're making a little bit of money. I don't know what he did for work, but it was all about buying, prep. I'm being kicked out for not paying my rent for 4 months. So in all these videos that he was making about him prepping up and him stocking up and him being ready for the apocalypse, what he was doing is moving the money from his rent to paying for this stuff. That way he could put it online and show it off. And then he gets kicked out. I don't know whatever happened to him. He never posted another video. Pay your damn bills. Some people are smart enough to understand, hey, I still have to pay my bills, but I'm only prepping on $5 a month. That's fine, okay? You are staying within your budget, and it sucks to prep for $5 a month. I get it. I've been there. You're staying within your budget, and you are still slowly stocking up. That is all we can ask for. You're still ready for most of the events that you're going to face. Maybe not ready for the apocalypse, but how many times have we faced that in our past? You're prepping up on $5 a month. Awesome. But then when you get this bill paid off, start snowballing those bills. Then you get a little bit of extra money. You pay some bills off, now you're prepping up on $10 a month. You pay some bills off, now you're prepping on $15 a month. You pay some bills off, now you're prepping on $100 a month. You don't have to follow my advice if you don't want to, right? Maybe you think, hey, pay minimum on payments and stock up and keep stocking and keep stacking to the rooftops, right? Or you can be like me. I feel as though I have a decent amount of stuff for 6 to 8 months. I'm going to start paying my bills off. We have light sources, we have battery sources, we have generator sources, we have fuel sources. We're good for 6 to 8 months if the grid were to go down. Now you might say, well, we're prepping for a long-term event. Okay, how many events over the course of world history have lasted longer than a year? Hurricane Maria, in some parts, did have power outages for up to a year. Not the whole island, and not everywhere. And a lot of those places and a lot of those people that were in the affected 1 year affected areas were able to get down to the center of towns and pick up more supplies as the days and weeks and months went on. So it wasn't, hey, they were by themselves on their own for a year. It was they were just out of power for a year. Hurricane Helene is starting to affect and move up into that months towards a year mark. Those are people who lost everything. But you can go up to Asheville right now, and it's another Tuesday in Asheville. You can go into Waynes County or Waynesville, and it's another day. You can go to Chimney Rock, and yes, parts of it are still shut down, and they are still reconstructing. But most people have power back, have electricity back, are back to working. The Great Depression is another scenario for this, right? But how many Great Depressions have we had in the history of the world? One. We've had hyperinflation all over the place, and you can say, well, that lasts for a year. But again, hyperinflation, although your money is useless, it's not like people are still going to work, people are still going to buy things, people are still trading goods for services. So for me, 6 to 8 months of products and services that I have, I'm sitting pretty for most events that we're going to face. The biggest thing we've had around here is 3 and 5 days and 10-day power outages. We had a tornado about 4 years ago, knocked power out for 10 days. We weren't affected. My buddy was. This is not a boastful video, look at me, look at me. This is just saying I feel comfortable for 6 to 8 months. And sure, I could stock it up till 5 years. But in 5 years, I have all this rice and beans and Mountain House meals and MREs and things that are fixing to go bad that I'm just gonna throw away. I've done it before. I have buckets and buckets and buckets of food that last for 20 years that weren't good after the first year of having them. But I spent money on them to stock up, to have them for what? Financial preparedness is part of prepping. Make sure you have some money set back and stocked up in case you lose your job, in case you lose, you out of work for a couple weeks. Make sure you have some money stocked up. Make sure you have some prep stocked up. Once you feel comfortable, hey, I'm good for 4 weeks, I'm gonna take this money and I'm gonna pay my car off. I'm gonna pay my credit cards off. I'm gonna do whatever. So now you're covering both ends. You have 4 to 6 weeks of food stocked up. You can move it over here and start knocking out them credit card debts or start knocking down that house payment. Do that for a couple months, come back here, say, okay, I want 12 weeks of food stocked up. Boom, 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 boom. Stock that up, go back to the house payment. Boom, 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 right? Have a plan in case you lose your job. Have a plan in case another COVID event happens where you don't technically lose your job, but you're just home for a few weeks. Have a plan in case you break your leg and you're out for a few weeks. When I worked EMS, had something happen to my body, I was gonna be down for a few weeks. Not bringing in home an income, how am I gonna make my car payment, my house payment, my insurance? Some people say, hey, just let it go and go bankrupt, who cares? Other people say, hey, bills are very important, let's go ahead and pay them. So financial preparedness is part of prepping. Make sure you are financially prepared because who knows what's coming. Maybe the end of the world will happen in next year. Maybe it'll happen 100 years from now. Are you still gonna have a house payment? Are you still gonna have car payments in 100 years? Hopefully you've paid them off, but not if you're spending all your money over here stocking stuff up to the rafters. My thoughts, my opinions, that's all I got for today's video. Y'all stay safe out there. T2 out.